Welcome to Philippines Raw, the ultimate no BS guide to life in the Philippines from an expat who tells it exactly like it is. No polished travel scripts, no fake tourist filters, no sugarcoating the realities. If you're tired of the typical paradise vloggers who only show luxury resorts, you just found your new home on YouTube. Let's go for a walk and talk about Heidi, Philippine Antics. Do you believe her? Are you for her? Are you against her? Or just don't you care? Let's go for a bike ride and talk about one of the craziest channels in the Philippines. My wife and I talk about them sometimes, and this morning it came up again, so I thought, I'm gonna multitask today. I'm going for a bike ride and talk to you guys, and maybe I can get your opinions on what you think. All right, we're off. Heidi and George, Philippine Antics. You know, when I first saw them, my very first thought was, who are these weird people? That was back in 2020, I guess. Heidi and George had, as I understand it, they came from Mexico. They were planning on coming to the Philippines, but because of COVID, I guess they got into Mexico and then they kind of waited there, and then eventually they did, a few months later, come to the Philippines. Now, over the years, I kind of liked them. I kind of like them because they're a little bit weird. You know, he's a Filipino that's lived in the United States and had businesses, and Heidi is like this oversized white woman, so they made kind of an odd couple, you might say. But as time went on, you know, I kind of like these people. I guess I kind of root for the underdog, you know. And then they had a big argument with, some kind of, actually threats of lawsuits and all kinds of stuff like that. And I even helped them with a little bit of money for a lawyer, because I thought they were kind of being bullied by this other channel. But then, all of a sudden, they gave in to the other channel. The other channel seemed to be their best friend, and I thought, what on earth happened, and why did they cave in to this other guy, when really I thought he had no case against them at all? It was totally ridiculous, and the other guy was doing all kinds of, at the time, doesn't seem to do that anymore, but kind of sleazy stuff, you know? Kind of a little bit sleazy stuff. So I'm wondering, you know, what was in on that? And so I continued to watch the channel. And over time, it came out that Heidi had a criminal history. She was actually in jail, in prison for 5 years. So all this came out. And of course, this is a long time ago now when that was. I guess it was 2005, somewhere around there. But this woman had actually strapped a fake bomb on or something and walked into a Walgreens to get some drugs, and had a hypodermic syringe loaded with, you know, something which probably people were scary to threaten the pharmacist. And so two times in the same day, as the story goes, I guess. And there's all kinds of newspaper verification about all this stuff now. So you can, you know, you can look this stuff all up. So she has this, she got caught at the second Walgreens. Whoa, it's really windy today. She got caught at the second Walgreens that she attempted to hijack some drugs from. And subsequently spent 5 years in jail. If I'm huffing and puffing, it's because the wind's really blowing. I think this tire is really low on air. So at that time then, the realization hit me what happened with the other channel. The other channel found out about this apparently and used that information, which did not seem to really be public knowledge in the Philippines. This other channel used that information to kind of blackmail them in a way, I guess you'd say. So everything disappeared and everybody was friendly, and you know, I think they kind of gave an apology to the other channel, which I thought was uncalled for and kind of irritatingly disgusting, since I had backed them up on the whole deal. But then I kind of dropped out of the scene after that. I mean, I wasn't really interested in the channel because I thought, whew, these people, you know, they back off so easy, and I don't know. I didn't have too much faith in them anymore. But now, and in more recent times, Heidi is continuously complaining about her various illnesses. I mean, she's got every advanced disease that, you know, you can list. In fact, I call it her litany of diseases, because when it comes on, she goes on for the first 5 minutes about every single thing that's getting worse and worse every day, you know. So that's pretty much what the channel seemed to be. Then all of a sudden, she's dying, supposedly. And they have a GoFundMe, they're trying to raise money. And, you know, she even had a little, you know, like a whiteboard for a while, how much money they're raising. But then somebody else in the community, another what I would call sleaze bag, who only does, you know, hit jobs on other channels. That's his sole channel, is his other hit jobs on other channels. And, you know, he's obviously a jerk would be the only way to describe him, you know. So you take him with a grain of salt, it's like pure entertainment. So he's been hammering them. So I just wondered, given all this, now, I would completely say that she's paid her debt to society, and I realize she must have been scared that this stuff would come out. Maybe, my guess is she didn't declare any of this to the Philippines when she came here. You know, so maybe she was afraid something would happen to her as far as immigration goes. I do not know. But here's the thing, I think she's paid her debt to society, and I wouldn't necessarily hold that criminal background against her. But I think in a lot of people's minds, it makes you question everything that she says. Now, her supporters are 100% behind her and think everybody's just bullying her. But the other half of the people have heard inconsistencies that make it just very puzzling whether she's completely telling the truth. it seems like for about 5 years, she's been saying they only make $200 or $300 a month. They only make $200 or $300 a month. Now, I don't even remember how many subscribers they have now. I'd have to look. I think it's like 40,000 or something. But I remember when they were tiny, it's like 3,000 or 4,000 when I first saw them. So if they were barely making anything back then, let's say 200 or 300, and still now, after all this time, they're still barely making anything at 200 or 300. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I don't know. Doesn't to me. I have to say it doesn't to me. Now, the other issue is she does have Social Security disability, so they have a fair bit of money. I mean, not big, but I'm saying she's not broke. That's what I'm saying. She's not broke. And now, and so, which also means she has Medicare. So she's had Medicare for all this time, and she would have been able to go back to the U.S. and solve or get treated for any medical problems. But she chose to stay here. She chose to stay here and you know, start a fundraising thing to stay here to pay for her medical stuff, which, you know, I think that's just going to hit a lot of people completely the wrong way. I mean, it does me. I have to admit, it does me. There's a lot of Filipinos that got a lot of issues, and they don't have the money to pay for their medical. But Heidi has Social Security disability, enormously more money than the average Filipino, and she has medical coverage in the U.S., but she decided to stay here until it was too late. And I don't doubt what she's saying. She probably can't go back. I don't know. I'm not going to question her on that. You know, but a lot of inconsistencies, you know. And I know before when she's talked about she was 8 years in like a shopping channel or something with a pretty good paying job. Also, she's been a neurological nurse, and she's been, what else has she been? Cosmetologist, graduated one of the highest in her class. What other things? I mean, I'm wondering, she's 54 now. Okay, so she was 6 years ago. So let's say she was 48 or something when she came here. And she was in TV for 8 years. And how long was she a neurological nurse? And I don't know. It reminds me of the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, the remake anyway. The Catch Me If You Can thing. The Great Imposter, originally with what was it, Tony Curtis? So I don't know. Maybe she had all these careers and all of her friends totally accept what she's saying. And all of the others say this sounds like a load of BS to me. But at any rate, even if it's true, a lot of people just, they can't see paying for somebody. They retire here. They know they got these issues. And to still stay here and then have the nerve to ask other people to pay for it, I don't know. I can see the detractors. It just seems like to me we've with the things she says, sometimes she casts doubt. And then the other part of it is at times she can be very ingratiating. You know, she's talking about going on Raffy Tulfo, which is a local show here that helps people. A lot of drama stuff, though. You know. which is good for the TV. And the guy's a senator, so she's talking very nicely about him. And then in another breath, she says, it'd be like a kick in the teeth if he doesn't respond. So it's like she's asking for help. And at the same time, she's like pressuring him and insulting him in a way to give her help. In other words, if I make you feel bad enough or guilty for not helping me, you are going to help me, Raffy Toolful. So the whole thing is crazy. So what do you think? Are you a supporter? I know she's got them because I watched a video this morning and it was really a lot of supporters. A lot of supporters. Maybe she's now blocking the trolls, I don't know. Which some of the trolls I wouldn't really call trolls. I'd say they're just thinking this thing out, and they've decided that they don't believe her. So anyway, with so many supporters today, I got the feeling she's blocking a lot of people. And then she had this other channel, was it Mike's Philippine Journey? Now, as I understood it, he was trying to help her, I thought. But now they're on the outs with that channel. Because there must have been a lot of detractors on the show that he had on, that Mike had on. And so Heidi's kind of in a war with him. So I don't know, it's confusing. But I will tell you, here's one more thing. One thing that always bugged me. You remember Mark Thornton? Every Man Has a Story. Okay, I used to watch his stuff, and you know, when he started out with the stuff about, you know, he's trying to buy a cruise ship, and he had his spiel down perfectly. He repeated that so many times that I would jokingly repeat it to Josie because I had it memorized, you know. He got here with $600, and the first week he broke his computer, and amazingly, he opened the thing up and fixed it himself. You don't know how, but he did it. It's amazing, you know. And anyway, it goes on and on. His life, and I know Filipinos like to hear this, and it appeals to everybody, I guess, that every day since then, his life got only better and better. Now, I had no problem with that, but when he got into I'm going to buy a cruise ship, he's trying to look for somebody to fund this, see? And, you know, he's going to be the coordinator. Of course, that was ridiculous, but everybody has a dream, and I got no problem with that either. But it seemed like, other than with some other expats here, I don't think he really had any big issues, you know. I saw him get into a fight one time, but Heidi all along kind of bashed, not kind of, she did bash him. She was always bashing him. She bashed him on today's show, you know. She bashed him on today's show. She made it sound like his wife talked him into having a child, and because they had the child, the stress of it, you know, kind of pushed him over the edge, you know, with the crying and the, you know, taking care of the baby and all that. And she was always on him for something. And I remember one time it showed the baby. Heidi did a thumbnail, and it had the baby like with some kind of black bug eyes or something. I mean, just really inappropriate, you know, really inappropriate. But now she's trying to guilt his widow, you know, with like some kind of that she caused Mark's death by talking him into the kid. I mean, it's just wrong, right? It's just wrong. So anyway, whether you love her or hate her, she's for sure entertaining. And I think probably my very first opinion, which was, who are these weird people? I think I was probably completely correct. So leave in the comments, what's your opinion? Can you overlook all of her flaws character defects? And do you believe all of what she said, or do you think she's just full of BS?